Hi everyone, Elad here from Excel Highway. Today I'm going to show you something I've been working on for a while, a complete restaurant costing system that runs entirely inside a browser. No Excel installation, no Google account, no subscriptions, nothing. If you're a chef, restaurant owner, food truck operator, bakery, anything food related, this will completely change how you manage recipes, sub-recipes, ingredients, labor cost, and profit. And the best part, you can use it on any device. PC or Mac, Android, iPhone, or tablet. Imagine updating the price of flour, and every recipe and menu item instantly recalculates. Or building sub-recipes once and reusing them forever. Or seeing your exact food cost, labor cost, and profit instantly while you build your menu. That's exactly what this system does. When you access the URL, you're going to see this access portal, and I can click on this banner to remove it, click on X, and I can enter an email or username and password and click on login, and I will be granted access to the Restaurant Menu Costing Pro screen. You can see I get this message, all data loaded successfully. And within this, I have 5 sections, which I'll cover in this video. Let's start with the ingredients. Obviously, if you're in the food business, you need to understand your ingredients, their cost, and the quantities. So this table is where you manage your ingredients. You can see that it's a table that shows you the ingredient name, the purchased quantity, the purchased unit of measure, the total cost for that purchase, and the cost per unit of measure. So in this example, I bought 1.25 kilograms of anchovies at $72. So the cost per unit of measure is 57.6. And I'm going to use that when I want to use anchovies in my sub-menus and menus. So what can we do with ingredients? I can add a new ingredient. And let's say I bought it at 12. And I have purchased unit of measures. We'll see in a few minutes it's coming from the unit of measure conversion table. But it's a selection of unit of measures. I can't just use whatever I want. So let's say I'm going to use cup. So I bought 12 cups of new item and $30. And the yield is 95. I'm going to go ahead and click on add. That's going to add that item to my database, and you're also going to see it here. As you scroll down, you're going to see new item. But I can also search. There's a search here, and it's a contain, so you don't have to be accurate. Okay, I can search for other things. So now let's say I made a mistake. I can click on edit, or not even mistake. Let's say something changed. On the edit section, I can see this area will tell me if this ingredient is used in sub-items, sub-menus, or menus. Okay, and I can change the purchasing quantity, I can change the unit of measure, the cost, whatever. Now, what's actually interesting here is if I click on edit on an item that is used, like anchovies, now if I click on purchase unit of measure, you can see I cannot select something that doesn't have a unit of measure conversion. So if I had previously used kilograms, I can either swap to grams, pounds, or ounces. I can't choose, for example, liquid measurement or each or something, because Caesar dressing that has anchovies used that item in its original purchased unit of measure. So I'm blocking the ability to change something that will really mess up the costing. So if I select grams, obviously things will change, and then when I will go back to Caesar dressing, I will see that it will update. Now, I also have the delete button that you see over here, and when I try to delete an item that exists, you saw that I got that message below. It's going to block me, because if you delete an item that exists in a sub item or a menu item, it's going to mess up that that menu. So that cannot be done. What you have to do is, for example, go to where used if you want, and you can search for anchovies, and you can see basically that anchovies exists in one sub recipe called Caesar dressing. It's an ingredient at 0.02 kilograms. Okay, and what you should do is go to the Caesar dressing and sub recipes and basically remove that item. So I'm also showing you the where used. So that's going to show you everything, and again, this is contained. So everything, any ingredient or sub menu, that has those letters. So you can see there are ingredients, and there's also sub recipes. So marinara sauce, you can see that it is used in spaghetti marinara. Okay, so it will show you sub items, sub recipes, or ingredients. So that's the where used lookup or where used report that I think is very valuable. So that's the ingredients part. It's the first step. Once you have your ingredients set up, you can start building your menu. Now you can build your menu directly, or you can use the sub recipes. Sub recipes is where you can build your batch production of sort of in between items like sauces, dressing, pizza dough. I think you get the idea. When you go over here to the sub recipe, you can see basically each sub recipe. You're going to see a summary of the cost per whatever unit of measure it is. In this case, $36 per liter. You can see the breakdown. The food costs are $65 and the labor is $75, and the batch is 2 liters. If I want to see some more details, I can click on edit. I can also edit, of course. But this will show you basically the layout for the sub recipe. You have the item name. You define the labor time. How long will it take to produce this? You define the labor rate. You have a default of 15, but that can be changed. You have your yield quantity and your yield unit of measure. Okay, so you can say I'm creating a sub recipe with each, with a weight, with a volume, unit of measure, whatever makes sense. And then you can see a summary of the food, labor, and total, plus the cost per unit of measure. So if I change this to 2.5, you can see that dropped. So that has an impact on the cost per unit of measure, which of course we're going to be used in the final menu. And then you have the ingredients themselves. So in sub recipes, you can only select ingredients. So for example, you can, let's add a component. So if I add a component and it's blank, I get this drop down list of all the ingredients that we saw before, and I can start typing if I want, and it will get me to where I want to be. And then you can't see here, but these columns show you the purchased unit of measure. That's basically the table that we set up in the ingredients. So if this item is a kilogram or weight item purchased, in the menu I can select only a weight unit of measure. Okay, I cannot select liters or each, because I cannot convert the cost from a purchase unit of measure and cost per unit of measure to that. So that's how you add items. I have double salt, so I can delete. Not sure why I have double items, but you can see very easily I can just delete that, and I can click on save item. Okay, maybe there's something wrong with that item specifically. Anyway, to add a new sub recipe, you can click here and let's say new sub recipe, labor time 30, let's say $22 and 3 liters, and you can see automatically it's going to calculate it. Now I'm going to add component, 2 kilos of that, 100 grams of that, and let's say water. You can see I can do whatever I want. There has no impact. As long as a conversion exists, which I'll show you now, it will work. And then I have the sub recipe over here with everything. And then I can also delete it, of course. I click on delete, and that will clear the new sub from my database. and it's also gone. Let's go quickly to the unit of measure conversion. So this is already pre-built with, I think, everything that you'll need. Conversion from kg to gram, from gram to kilogram, liter to milliliter, pounds, ounces, teaspoons, everything should exist here. If not, you can always add from to and the factor and just add that or delete the ones that exist. And once you add those, they can be used later in your drop-down list that we saw. So that's the unit of measure of conversion. Menu build, which is the last part. This is your final menu. You can see already in the Italian restaurant demo, we have 5 dishes. You can see the total cost and the breakdown between food and labor. You have the selling price, you have the profit, and you have the percentage of profit. And of course, again, we can click on edit and we can see, similar to the sub recipe, you have the name, labor time, labor rate, yield. This isn't right. Okay, this is supposed to be this. I will check this and fix it, but anyway, when you create an item, it should, yeah, that's how it's supposed to look. The two are kind of different in the summary and input. So a menu item has the description of the name, the selling price, the labor time and labor cost or rate, and then you have the breakdown of total food cost, labor, selling price, and then you have the food percentage, the profit, and the percentage of profit. And then you have the items, and unlike the sub recipes where you only can select ingredients, here you can select either sub recipe or ingredient. If you select sub recipe, it's going to show you all the sub recipes that we have in our database. If you select ingredient, it's going to show you just the ingredient. So this is why it's important for the sub recipes to also have a unit of measure, because then you can just play with that and use that. So each line will have the ingredient cost. And I didn't mention that you can see, maybe it's not clear here. Let's take something else where it's more clear. Yeah, you can see there's a difference because of the yield. So here it's 0.2, here it's 0.21. That yield will impact the actual ingredient cost. So the ingredient cost is the cost plus the waste that you have because of the yield. So that is the menu item. You can also delete, of course. Search is available as well, just like in the sub recipes. If I didn't show, I can also search, and also in the unit of measure I can search and see all the kgs, for example. Those are the main working tabs. There's the where used. There's also a log out that you can just log out, and there's also an export button. You click on export. What it will do, it will create an Excel file with the 4 tabs, so you can have some sort of backup if you want, or you can extract it and use it for whatever reason you want. You get this pop-up message, and then when you open it, you can see a warning message. Don't be alarmed, just click on yes, and it will open the ingredients sheet, the sub recipes, menu, labor, and unit of measure conversion. The labor is where the labor time and selling price are saved for the menu and the sub recipes. But for each line, you can see, for example, this is a marinara sauce. The unit of measure is kilograms, and this is a batch of 5 kilograms. These are the components, their quantities, their unit of measure, their purchase unit of measure, and the line cost. So a marinara sauce cost $18.46 and another for 7.5. So the total cost would be both. But anyway, you can export it and use that for whatever you want. This is not an Excel file. This is a browser-based web app, which means works on iPhone, works on Android, works on Mac, works on Windows, works on tablets. No installation, no subscriptions, no Google accounts required. If you want to get your own copy of the system, customized with your own spreadsheet database, you can get it now on my website. Click on the link below. Whether you're running a cafe, bakery, restaurant, meal prep service, or food truck, this tool will save you hours every week, eliminate calculation mistakes, and help you price your menu with confidence. If you found this helpful, please hit that like, subscribe, and comment below with whatever restaurant tools you want to see. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.